Shall we wait for Lena to come back
That'd be nice.
before we call it to order?
Very quick.
You want to go to that county meeting?
I know. I mean, I don't want to hear like 100 people's worth testimony. I can't,
Okay. I hereby call to order the August 20th meeting of the Town of Frisco Planning Commission. Kim, will you take roll?
Lesmus? Here. Withrow? Here. Sabile?
Here.
Conley? Here. Tain?
Here,
Day? Here.
That's a quorum. Okay, previous planning commission meeting minutes have been distributed. Does anybody have any questions or comments on those?
Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Okay, then we will open this meeting up to public comment for anything that's not on the agenda. I guess it's just
Julie.
one person online. Anybody have anything they'd like to discuss that's not on tonight's agenda? All right, seeing none, we will head into our first agenda item. Planning file number UDC 26 0002. A public hearing to consider proposed amendments to chapter 180 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Frisco, Colorado by amending section 180-5.1, table of allowed uses, section 180-5.3, accessory uses and structures, section 180-6.13, parking and loading regulations, section 180-2.9, definitions of general use categories, and section 180-9.3, general definitions concerning drive-through facilities and tavern terminology. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Emma?
Yep, that's me.
Go.
So we're coming back to drive-throughs and just removing references to taverns in the code.
Disappointing.
I
There we
know,
go.
why we doing that?
Tavern.
So background, as a reminder, Planning Commission briefly discussed this at a February work session. And at that time, we heard from you all that you supported prohibiting drive-throughs everywhere on Main Street, including the mixed-use district, but supported them on Summit Boulevard. And then at both the February Town Council work session and the July Planning Commission work session, we heard support from both groups for prohibiting drive-throughs everywhere except the commercial-oriented zone district. So that's the language that's before you tonight. And as a reminder, the commercial-oriented or CO district is the purple on the zoning map. There was also discussion with both groups about the Gateway District, which is orange, and mixed use, which is pink. But I think we heard from both groups that you want to just prohibit it in those areas and only allow in CO. So our next steps for you is tonight to provide a recommendation to Town Council on the proposed code changes. And then a first reading is scheduled with Town Council for September 8th. I wanted to talk through the changes that we've made since the language that you saw at the July work session. And this was, all these changes were in response to what we heard from you. So it's showing that drive-throughs are only permitted in CO zoning district. We removed a couple of lines of language from the proposed design standards that you recommended. So we took out the language that no idling vehicle can be likely to extend into public right-of-way. That's not in there anymore. And we also removed the statement that no stacking lane or service window could be within 50 feet of residential property. We confirmed that stacking spaces have to measure 9 feet by 18.5 feet, and that's already in the code. So there's no proposed changes there. We just confirmed that that's already there. And then we changed the stacking space requirement to be per order kiosk for fast food restaurants. We kept it as per drive up window for commercial because we were thinking that there's some commercial businesses that won't have order kiosks. So we're keeping it as drive up window for commercial, but order kiosk for fast food. So that's really all I have for you for now. These are the recommended findings that were in your staff report. And then if you choose to recommend approval, recommended motion for you. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
April, you have any questions?
I don't think so.
You good?
What businesses have drive-throughs that aren't restaurants? I mean, I can think of banks.
Yeah.
Drugstores,
Have drive-throughs,
drugstores.
cleaners? Okay.
Pharmacy.
Okay, but none of ours do today,
No.
but could, I guess.
Yeah.
Ira?
Prior to this, were there any regulations regarding drive-throughs?
There were, so it was really just the stacking space requirement for the drive up windows, but the use was technically allowed anywhere. Yeah,
So we're making a change that there will be no drive-throughs on Main Street, right? That's in that, that's one thing that's new.
yeah,
Like prior, somebody could have tried.
yep,
Okay,
correct.
okay,
Mhm.
that's it.
Thanks. Kelsey?
No questions.
Just to clarify, none of there's not even a conditional use path
Nope,
in any of this for mixed use or gateway.
no, just allowed in CO and prohibited everywhere else.
PUDs cannot.
And PUDs can allow it. So it is still allowed in the Lake Point PUD in some parts, as we've talked about.
Or really any new PUD that would have it.
Yeah.
Say that again, Lita? Oh, it'd be a new PUD that?
If they ran it into.
Like somebody
A new
created,
PUD, but the existing ones probably don't have language about drive-throughs.
the Lake Point one does.
Lake Point, and right, that's why it's in there. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
But to create a new PUD would have to involve affordable housing and would have to get our approval.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. In
So-
compliance with the comp plan, all the things.
Right. So it wouldn't
That
just
would
be
be a
like,
whole
just because the
process.
PUD wants it, doesn't mean they get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
Did you want, can I ask you a question? Did you want conditional
No.
use?
I didn't, I was just curious because we kind of almost talked
Yeah.
ourselves into it with a high bar
Yeah,
last time, but I think it's cleaner to just say no
yeah.
and to just, so we don't give people hope. Maybe get a conditional use. And that way we don't have to be the ones that say no, because
Yeah.
it says no, so.
I was just
to me,
curious,
that's cleaner.
because I do remember talking last time about it and I was like, did we?
Yeah,
What
I just
did
want
we
to make
land
sure.
on that?
that
Yeah.
Clear.
I guess I have one more
Hmm?
question. I don't know if it's a question or comment, but like, you know, that, I guess I want to make sure that we're thinking through the definition of drive-through, and you probably have it up there, and sorry, but to capture things that are quasi drive-throughs, like, I think we talked about, you know, the example of the drive-up parking for pickup. Or
Yeah. Let me find.
I
the-
think that's how people are, I can think of one example of a situation where that's sort of how they tried to get around it. It's like, oh, well, it's not a drive-through. It's like, I drive up and I park here and I walk in and I get my, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is the definition that we're proposing right now. So we added a sentence that drive-throughs do not include dispensing of fuel, EV charging, washing of vehicles, or parking lot pickup of retail items.
Oh. Why retail?
I guess we were thinking of like the retail at Walmart or
See,
grocery
Right, so we think-
stores.
I see.
Um,
What if you're picking up food?
like a fast food restaurant, but you just order online and then pull into a parking lot? I guess that would
Or, I mean,
count as a
Picking up groceries?
Your customers remain seated in the vehicle.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get out, they're saying it's a drive-through.
Yeah, if you get out, it's not a drive-through.
Okay. It works for me. I mean, I think
It's a good question.
retail is a little specific to have in there, and it could cause somebody to be like, well, what about blah, blah, blah? And then like, oh, darn it, is that retail?
Yeah.
Something to
I
think
think we would
about.
also look at if they're occupying a drive-through service lane to the point of a window or other service area. So probably other service area for fast food if they were pulling into a parking space that was serviced without them getting out of the car. It would count as a drive-through, I would say, if it's not retail. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
We can cross that bridge.
Think
maybe.
about it.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts of way we
No,
should
but
change it? Okay.
Maybe it'll stir up some thoughts later.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess, do we need to open this for public comment? Yeah, so
Yeah.
let's open this up for public comment. If anybody online or in the chambers has anything they'd like to add to this discussion? Set a timeline. All right, seeing none, and we're not seeing any online, are we?
No.
Okay, then we will close the public comment portion, and open it up for commissioner discussion. I think we've kind of beaten this one up.
I think so.
I mean, I think this looks
I'm in favor.
good.
Yeah.
I like the zone, I mean, I think, I like that we've contained it to the CO commercial zone district. I think that makes sense in my mind. My main protection would be Main Street and mixed use, but you know, for all the reasons that we've talked about already, the other zone districts also, I also agree with.
Yeah. I'm
So,
glad to hear the council's in agreement too on the
Yeah.
mixed use. I think, you know, that one was a little bit up in the air, but it sounds like everybody agrees.
And Gateway was their idea, which is, and we support it, so.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I think the drive-through or the park and be served is from COVID, and I think it's taken. I think a lot of people do order and expect their goods to come out to the car.
Mhm.
Looks like we've covered that. So
Yeah.
I think until the next pandemic, we're good.
I think we're good at the next.
Positive thinking.
So we got.
I mean, I am opposed to the tavern thing, just kidding.
Tavern back in there.
Put the tavern back in there.
Discotheque.
You winches?
Oh, the discotheque.
Blimey.
Do we have a motion? Does somebody need to
Put
see
it
it
in
up on the
front of me.
screen again?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll do a motion. With respect to planning file number UDC 26-0002, I move that the recommended finding be set forth in the August 20th, 2026 staff report be made and that the planning commission recommends approval to the town council of the code text amendments to chapter 180 of the code of ordinances of the town of Frisco, Colorado concerning the Unified Development Code by amending section 180-5.1, table of allowed uses, section 180-5.3, accessory uses and structures, section 180-6.13, parking and loading regulations, section 180-9.2, definitions of general use categories, and section 180-9.3, general definitions concerning drive-through facilities and tavern terminology.
I'll second that.
Excellent.
You did a good job of reading. That's what it is.
It's a lot of dash points.
Yeah.
Conley,
Yes.
Lesmes,
Yes.
Stabile,
Yes,
Day,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Withrow,
Yes.
motion carries. All right. Well, I don't think we need a break, so we'll just dive right in. That's
Break anything?
It's executive decision.
making the call. We'll move on to our next agenda item, planning file number UDC 26-0004. A public hearing to consider proposed amendments to chapter 180 of the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Frisco, Colorado by adding section 180-2.8 fast track for affordable housing developments concerning a fast-track review process for affordable housing to meet Proposition 123 state requirements. Students,
I'll do this one.
take it away. All right.
It's great to see you guys. This is the first time I've actually got to address you without the council around. So it's nice to see you all, to be able to do this, and hopefully we'll do it, more often. Am I ready to share over there, Kim?
I think so.
Ha. It's not what it's on my page. Come on. There we go. All right. All right. So back in November of 2022, the voters of Colorado approved what's called Proposition 123, and that set up the Colorado Affordable Housing Finance Fund. So as you all know, a few years ago, there was a lot of money to start spending on affordable housing. And for communities to be involved and get that money from the state, you had to file a commitment. And so the town of Frisco did that the following year. We did that in August of 23, almost about when I got here. The town filed a commitment to provide so many units, affordable units, along with adding a fast track element to our expedited review process. We already had an expedited review process, kind of, but it wasn't up to state standards. So that's why we're having to adjust the code that's before you. So there are some elements to that. There was the proposed ordinance. This is a new section in the code. What was in your packet has been changed a little bit, and you'll see that in red. The reason for that is for two things. First, our attorney returned from vacation. And so he was able to help us out with that and make his little attorney adjustments. The second thing is we reached out to DOLA for consideration of what we were proposing. And as of July 1st, there was some changes to what had previously been brought out by DOLA of what you could and could not do. So you'll see most of that on the B section, and we'll kind of go through that. So once again, this is for review. This is the expectations of what the town will do when reviewing an affordable housing project. So basically, if a developer comes forward and 50% of the development is affordable housing by what we have in code, they can qualify for expedited review. So first off, our expectation of what is affordable is different from the state. So the state requirement was 60% AMI for rental, and it was originally 100% AMI for homeownership, but that recently changed to 120% AMI for homeownership. We based our numbers off of our strategic housing plan and what the need was shown. So we increased those numbers to 100% AMI for rental and 150% AMI for homeownership, because as I said, in our strategic housing plan, that's where the demand is in Frisco. Part of that too is originally DOLA was telling people that you could not put covenants on these. And so that caused a lot of question with us and with our attorney. So after the legislature changed their minds a little bit this year, they said you can put covenants on the AMIs. So if a developer comes forward, you do require him to have covenants in perpetuity related to the AMI on what he's proposing for at least 50% of the development. If they're going through fast track.
James,
Yeah.
sorry, but to be clear, that covenant cannot be a workforce, like you work in the county 30 hours a week, or can it?
Correct.
Okay.
It cannot be a workforce one. And this is a discussion that I had with that as well, actually, today. As you all are probably aware, we don't have a lot of developers that are knocking down on our doors wanting to create affordable housing. So we already have incentive programs, though we can always improve better. We have incentive programs in our code that require a town covenant. And also with the projects that we're working on, for example, 101 West Main, I'll take that as an example. There are 3 or 4 covenants on that property based on us, DOLA, Department of Housing and Chafa, for example, that have requirements of income. That one particularly doesn't have workforce because it's a light tech, but our one at 602 does. So like I said, if a developer is going to come in and want to develop something, I wouldn't say 100% chance, but they're going to be using our incentives, which require a standard town covenant, which does require workforce.
Why would the legislators not want a covenant? Like, how can you have affordable housing without a covenant? I guess what are they perceiving you create?
And that was the question that we had as well. How can we enforce the AMI, even the AMI to begin with?
Yeah.
And at first, DOLA said that requiring a covenant superseded what the original state statute said. It was really focused on just creating AMI based, that's it. And how we would keep it in perpetuity, that's just the good heart of the
Hope so,
developers, right? So that was part of the change that came
Got
through
it.
with the state legislature of, hey, these communities need some kind of affordable mechanism that they can require the developer to have so that the town can have, or the city can have some backing to go on. So that is something that we will require, absolutely.
Did they change state statute to accomplish that, or is that just an interpretation?
No, they changed it.
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there was, let me see, Senate,
That,
wrote it down, Senate Bill 26-040 took effect July 1st. And that's DOLA's interpretation as well.
sorry, one more question. Is the covenant, do they care of the length of time the affordability is required, or can it be in perpetuity, or
Oh,
they care if it's like 5 years, 10 years?
they do not. We do.
They
It-
don't care.
Yeah, so that'll be, our policies will be in perpetuity, just like everywhere else we have in town.
Yep.
Yeah. Any questions or? So as I said, we raised the AMIs to better reflect the community. Also, it talks about it can't exceed 30% of a monthly income of an individual, which is something that we have standard in Summit County. Next thing is what type of applications are eligible. And so you can see these are straight from DOLA. So a major or minor site plan, conditional use, the building permit is included in that application. Variance from zoning regulations, PUD approval that does not require zoning approval, and modifications to the site plan, development plan, variance, et cetera. You can see that up there. A big part of this, and that there's not a true definition of what a complete application is. So as we said, we have to get this done, the town, in 90 days. But we get that the clock doesn't start until we receive a complete application. And so that is up for staff to say, yes, we've received it. No, we are missing some items. The clock hasn't started for you yet. But once it's deemed complete, then the clock starts. Now, if there are referral issues, those do not affect our clock. Those are separate. It's the town's portion of the review that has to be completed within that timeframe. Statute does allow for extensions, so that a developer can request an extension. The town can say, we need to extend this out a little bit. We'll work together with the developer and make sure that's okay. So yeah, there are a little bit of leeway in that process.
Did you say 90 days is considered expedited? Is that what you said?
Yep.
What would that process take normally?
90 days.
Yeah.
It depends, like if you're going through, it depends on the applicant. We have applicants who take 2 years and we have applicants who take 90 days.
The
So
90 days that's a requirement of you guys to turn it around, not necessarily for the applicant to keep
correct.
pushing.
What our turnaround will be quicker on is we always do a review pretty quick, at least from planning. It's waiting for referral agencies. And then we always have the legal timeline to post 14 days in advance. So honestly, it's really going to be pushing the referral agencies or not calling it complete throughout those steps.
What's the 51 days, don't we have what, like a major site plan?
Yeah, we
to
don't-
get For
Yeah,
final.
we say you have to wait at least that, but we don't follow it. We say as soon as you have okays from all referral agencies, we'll publish you at the next available meeting.
So, I guess I'm still not seeing how 90 days is expedited from.
Well,
what-
it doesn't require a public hearing. So, right? So it would be an administrative process?
No,
It's still a public
that's still a
hearing.
public hearing. We still have all notices and everything that we have to do.
Yeah.
52 days is just for the final site plan, and then there's the sketch plan before that.
So we're saying that 90 days you would have to complete both
I believe
steps?
so.
But again, it's on the applicant to submit the second step.
Right.
And then we basically are gonna get 90 days more because then it's complete again. I
So
think
normally you have to-
I think we're pretty good here in that, to your point, I think when we take a while, it's because the applicant isn't addressing comments they have to address. And there, but it is what the state requires we have in our code, even if we feel like we already are meeting that or it's quick. Maybe that's a better way to.
So the state's requiring the 90.
The state requires 90 days. We don't want to just say less than that because, but to Andy's point, if we have a good applicant who has complete applications and they meet referral agencies, they move right along.
Yeah.
And then we have others who we just never can get to make revisions.
And I'll say too, to this, when this was created, this was mostly focused on the Front Range. A lot of this process was, they didn't care about workforce, for example. They just wanted that time frame. They wanted those AMIs. They didn't even care if those AMIs were market. They just wanted it done. 90 days is what we're requiring you all to do along the Front Range. There wasn't really a lot of Western Slope consideration in this. But yeah, I'd like to Katie's point, we're already in a good spot with this.
So this won't necessarily speed things up through.
It'll just give the developer an expectation. As long as he's doing what he or she is doing what they're supposed to be doing, they have an expectation of, okay, we can get this done in 90 days.
How does it apply if the town is the developer?
We have the same requirements for ourselves.
Okay. I feel like there's,
yeah. Really good.
the town is normally the developer for affordable housing, right?
No,
No.
no. So we did that with Granite Park. We were the developer on that. We are not the developer on 602 or 101, and we will not be the developer in the foreseeable future. We'll typically be, I don't want to say a partner, but we'll be a contributor in some fashion to affordable housing, but we will not be developing.
How about property management?
No.
For that?
We will not be doing property management as well. Nope.
So many fun roles we could get you.
So as I stated earlier, there are a few exemptions to the 90 days. So a 90-day extension can be requested by the applicant and the community development director. It can be extended because of issues with state law or a court order. And as I said earlier, comments from the external agencies.
James,
Yes,
what's the red? The red is what that art added?
correct.
Okay.
Do the other agencies have to abide by this legislation? Like, is there anybody pushing on them, or it's just the town has to perform and then you're at the mercy of?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Helpful.
Yeah, but if you don't hear from them,
Yeah, then you
it's
can move
essentially a
forward.
no comment.
Yeah.
I don't know if we would take it that way then.
Oh,
I prefer to have written
could.
documentation of no comment or
Yeah.
we're good. Or here's our changes.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, any other questions? Yes,
I have background, AMI.
yes.
I mean, we have a community with a lot of second homes, and so is AMI people who claim Frisco as residents? In other words, people, you can't have a residency in two places, you can only vote in one.
Right.
So I'm just wondering how AMI is calculated for all our units that are part-time occupied or less than part-time occupied.
So AMI and Lena, you can probably chime in on this as well. So HUD, the federal government really starts the ball on that and trickles down to the state and then Summit County. So SEHA dictates a lot of our what our AMIs are. There is a very complicated that no one can understand way of calculating AMI. So typically AMI is based on your residence is in Frisco. Your income is coming from wherever, but your residence is in Frisco. And so that is typically how AMI is calculated, not necessarily by second homeowners that aren't here and have this as their primary address. If they're living in Texas and that's their primary address and that's where they're filing their taxes, their Texas address is where the AMI number goes. But if they're filing their taxes and they're saying Frisco, Colorado is my home, this is where I live, then those are AMIs those are incomes that adjust the AMIs.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add a little, if you don't mind, James, but it's census data, basically. Where AMI comes from, it's all census data. And the American Community Survey, so that's the number that they use, and they have a family median income is a number that the census does, and that's where it's, and then they use a very cryptic formula that can change over time and spit out the AMI. But yeah, I think what James is saying is right. So it's based on where you live, your primary residence. However, I think it also captures like investment income, and it captures remote workers that maybe make a lot of money, and that's.
So has that, what, because didn't they just recently say Summit County's AMI has been impacted so dramatically because of remote workers?
Well, we don't know why, because again, it's just, it comes out every year and it's census data and we just live with the number, but like we speculate that it's because it's capturing investment income, remote workers, and bringing that number higher. And in the last 4 years, that number has increased 10% every year, which we had never seen ever before.
Yeah.
It typically was like, if you averaging at 3% a year up and down a little bit, but we had never seen 10%. We've seen it 4 years in a row. So it's definitely flawed, because here's the other piece about it. So if you have a population that's less than 65,000 people, which we do. So in big areas like Denver, the American Community Survey captures this data every year. So every year you sort of have a real-time capture of the data. With us, because we're small, they aggregate the data. So in order to come up with a statistical valid sample, they take 5 years worth of data and they aggregate it. And so because of that, we're always behind. We're always looking at a couple years behind. So like, if you remember in like 2015, AMIs were like going down and we're like, why? We're out of the recession, what's happening? And it was because it was 2 years behind. And so now we don't know what's going on. And they try to fix it, and it's like, yeah. So, and like, to make matters worse, so there's all that, so we're behind. And then they try to make it current by using a CPI number from Boulder and Denver. So it says this made up formula. And it's flawed, and then it's super flawed. But like every
data.
single affordable housing
That's what Nancy.
program goes back to AMI, and we have studied using, like, every time something like some weirdness with AMI comes up, it's like, why are we using a stupid metric? It doesn't work for us. But then you try to study it, like, can we use anything different? It's like, nothing really
Where does
works.
the change come from then? HUD would have to decide, like, hey, we're gonna get a new algorithm to like
Yeah, I mean, I think it
fix
would
this,
it would
or-
have to be like CHAFA or some kind of state agency, because otherwise we're just making up our own locally, and then we start bumping up against, all these developers that use federal funding or state funding, and they need it to match AMI, right? So we're just making their life harder for them. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I just know what the problem is.
Just seeking an opinion here from all you professionals. Is the AMI that we're using seem too high?
Right now it does.
It is,
Yeah,
because people aren't making what the AMI says.
right.
I'm saying it right, yeah?
Right. I think right now it's high. And so when you have projects that are setting rents based on AMI, and they're allowed to set the rents so high,
Right.
like
Like
those
this
rents are
guy.
ridiculously high,
That's-
even at like 80% AMI, like
Like this
602 Galena,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
the
way
studio
high.
is $2,000.
$2,000.
Right, two bedroom was 26 something.
And that's,
26.50.
and that's
And
80%
that's
AMI.
80% AMI this year.
So what would it be if it was the 100 and 50, that's in here.
That's just percent.
Double that.
Oh, okay, got it,
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
for
And
sale.
it's 60 in here for
We did 100.
600, got it.
Yeah.
But isn't that too high then if she's, what she's saying?
No, because like I said, this goes back to AMI is its own thing. Then we look at our strategic plan that has 2 years ago AMI, right? So we're balancing what's current and then what, you know, the huge jumps that were unprecedented and that's current against what our study says that we need. And so for us, you know, we even talked about what if we just did all residential? We're like, no, that's probably not a good idea. Let's bring it down to see what's the actual need. And so with the plan, it says 150 to 100. So at least we are saying we're doing 150 to 100. Our master plan or strategic housing plan is saying that it's these numbers. So that way we're not just grabbing some random number or having to come back every year and changing numbers and stuff. This is kind of a catch-all. So even if the AMIs continue to go up, you know, past where they are now, which they will, we still have that buffer of 150%. And that way, you know, the numbers might not look pretty. The incomes may not look pretty, the rents may not look pretty, but at least, again, with the developer, they know the expectations of what we'll do.
Yeah, and I guess I would add that, like, if you remember a couple years ago, we were always talking about, the missing middle and middle income because our AMIs, we were like, we need higher AMIs because our AMIs are too low. We stopped talking about that because now the AMIs are too high.
Yeah.
So
And we do have a section of this community, especially in homeownership, in that 100 to 150% AMI that is missing. We don't have a lot of that around here. And so if we can generate more 130, 150 AMI for homeownership specifically, that will kind of release some of the tension, for example, like peak one, for example, that might allow people to go into something different and go from there and open that section up. So yeah, it's like I said, it's just a reference point for us of these are numbers that we know that we need. So this is what we're gonna put in.
But those are higher than the state and the state's okay with? that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you just can't go lower. So we couldn't do 80% AMI for homeownership because then we would be superseding state statute. We couldn't go lower. We can always go above because we're still meeting state statute at 100% AMI for example.
So DOLA has approved all this? Like,
Except for Thad's changes, but yes, they
Okay.
have reviewed all of this. And I had a discussion with them this week about the covenant and they have, as I said, with the
Yeah.
recent state statute, they're okay with that.
and they're okay with the AMIs at ownership going to 150?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's stated in their guidance as well, that as long as you're meeting what the state is requiring, you have the ability to flex that for whatever your need is in your own individual community. So you can go.
So is that to say that like 50% of as an example, so let's say we have a rental project. 50% of the units have to meet the 60% AMI threshold and the other 50 can be whatever? Or I don't get it. Okay,
50% of it has to be affordable by what we dictate in this ordinance.
but isn't it by what state statute? And so you're saying you're reflecting state statute, which I thought only allowed you to go up to 120 for ownership. I'm sorry, I'm muddying the waters.
I think what they're doing is they're saying, we're gonna provide expedited review processes
Oh,
for even more people.
okay, I get it. Yeah, you're
They're
right.
expanding that limit.
Yeah,
Dole is saying you have to do it for at least projects that need this, but they're saying we're gonna do it for also these projects.
okay, yeah.
So it's not,
Thank you for clarifying. I misunderstood. Yeah. That reminds me. That's right.
Is this the same? I think I read a Summit Daily article about Silverthorne opting out of this whole
Yeah.
Yes,
proposition.
yes.
How does that differentiate from what you guys
From
are?
us, Silverthorne's in a different bubble than we are. So I'll start with unit counts, for example. We had to create 16 affordable housing units within the 3-year time frame. We made 58. Okay, so we surpassed what we needed. And that number is the new number, because they changed the methodology, because it's the state. The state has decided that we're going to average your building permits and how many units you are creating in your community for the past 3 years, I believe. And so you take the average of those 3 years, you put it in this box, doesn't matter if they're affordable or not. And then it takes what your growth rate is, I believe it is, and compares it to the state. Then you hit a button, tells you how many you need. So for example, I just did ours again today, and it looks like we'll have to do 18 next year, or for the next 3 years, since we're going to commit again.
They
for
don't add some
3
of our
years.
leftover 58 onto that?
No, but that's, I wish, believe me,
Crazy
believe
though,
me.
because you're like.
And so we
at what
actually,
point do, if you met build out,
yeah,
then what do you do?
and then you actually get,
Conversion.
yeah, like we do with Housing Helps, for example. We actually got penalized a little bit because Granite Park, which is an 80% AMI affordable housing, was caught in that number of 22 units. So that raised us up a little bit as well from the 16 that we were at previously to the 18 now. So in Silverthorns, as an example, they have built a lot. And they've had a lot of building permits in individual units, whether they were affordable or not. And so when they put their number in that 3-year average, it was a large number.
Yeah.
And they don't feel that they can meet that number. So that's part of the conversation that they had was, we don't think that it's realistic. Therefore, we don't think that we should contribute or we should apply for this. If you don't apply, then if there's any Prop 123 money that comes down from the state, you don't qualify for that next 3 years.
But isn't the state out of money? Did you see that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is
They're getting close.
Yeah.
They're not out, but there's not as much as there used to be.
Yeah.
So the programs are shrinking a little bit. Now Chaffa has a lot of money, a very good organization, and part of that Prop 123. And another reason why we're going to do it again is because we received $5 million for the project at 101 West Main through their land banking grant. So that's why we're going to continue to invest in this property, and it's just a good look on Frisco.
Can you get to a point though and say, hey, we're at this place, we're no longer gonna be a part of it?
I think with how we are here, I think we're fine. We have staff has been here a while. We have a good rhythm. We know what we're doing. So we're working with the developers. We have our Housing Helps program is starting back up next year. So we have these different avenues, not only working with developers, but also in our housing fund of how we're going to be able to achieve like our unit count for the next 3 years. We'll be able to do that. I don't see a reason for us right now to say, no, we don't want to do that. It just wouldn't be advantageous for the town. Silverthorne has their own discussion, totally understandable, but that's totally different than what we have in Frisco.
You opt in every 3 years. So if in 3 years we're like, we don't want to do Prop 1, 2, or the council, then yeah, you're
Got it.
not forced into it. You just
Yeah.
can't qualify for funding.
Yeah,
And in the case of Silverthorne, they had a growth spurt. I like to call it a growth spurt because I don't believe it's like forever and ever into the future. So their first 3-year cycle, they needed 16 units. And what's really painful in that particular case is that, so the units count when you get your building permit. And in that particular case, they got their building permit for the Smith Ranch Apartments, which are 135 apartments, like in May of 2023. And then you opted into the first time in Prop 123 in August. But because the building permit had already been issued, then those 135 apartments didn't count. So that's their first beef, which is just kind of like, you got to draw the line somewhere. And that's just where the line was drawn. But for this next 3-year cycle that you have to opt into, they need to do 56 units. So they went from 16 to 56. So it's like, and you're not counting our apartments and the funding's going down. So yeah, I was at that meeting when they talked about it.
And for us, with the units that I said we delivered, like Lena said, it starts at building permit. So out of those 58 that I said that we did, 52 are 101 West Main. So when that building permit was issued, I was bugging staff like crazy. Where's that building permit? Where's that building permit? So we can get it to the state and say, we have met our commitment. Another example, Granite Park barely missed it. We didn't get to count Granite Park, and that's the 22 units for that. So we kind of found the same issue with Silverthorne on that one, but luckily we knew this was coming down the pipeline, and so we knew we would be okay.
And that counts for the 3-year cycle?
Mhm.
Got it.
Yep.
So we're good for 3 years.
We're good until the end of this year.
Oh,
Then the clock starts again.
Then we have 18.
So then we have 18 we have to do, and neither of these projects count.
Correct.
until 2029.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's when, like I said, we have the developer route where we can develop something that meets these AMIs, or we have housing helps. And that's what we started with at first, was we were buying a lot of, trying to buy as many properties as we could to put covenants on them at 100% AMI to start that process. So we didn't end up at the end of the year of, oh my God, we have 16, we're not going to do it. So luckily we started that process, and then everything kind of came together with 101 West Main, and that crossed us over the finish line.
So if you don't do it in that cycle, do you disqualify for the next cycle?
You can work with DOLA. They're pretty flexible on that. You can ask for an extension. But you need to show that you're actively working on meeting that commitment.
There,
Or you just won't make the new commitment, and then you'll fall off for funding.
like Keystone. So sorry, James, I'm just jumping in. But Keystone, for example, they opted in this first 3-year cycle. They needed to provide 5 units. They didn't do it. So they have the option to share with whoever has access. Like they could come to Frisco and say, hey, give me 5 of your units. You draft an IGA, and the town can do that. It just so happens that we, the county, have extra units too. And so we're giving them 5 units, so you can get at it that way too. We, the county, have
Just start
barely-
greasing up Vail.
Yeah. Well, I think the state really wants everybody to be working, like, don't be in your silos. And that's why they're sort of pushing this idea of IGAs all over the place, like work together. Cause then
What's
like if the
IGA stand
county,
for?
intergovernmental agreement.
Oh, okay.
But like we, the county, like if, say, whatever, we created some units in the town of Frisco. We did that actually. There's 8 units in Silverthorne that we put a deed restriction on it. And we said, hey, count these 8 units. And at first they said, yeah, that's great. And then they said, no, those don't count. Those go automatically to Silverthorne because it's in their jurisdiction. It's something that they fixed moving forward. But in this first 3-year cycle was one of those. So like counties are kind of like, what? Just gave you 8 units, $4 million, what? Anyway. But yeah, I think, it's flawed for sure, but the state is trying. They want people to continue to commit and
Flawed as
continue.
AMIs.
Equally as flawed. It's still humans. And one thing about this, I don't know if you said this, James, but like the fast track process is another requirement to stay compliant with Prop 123, and has to happen by the end of this year in order for us to continue on. So that's part of the reason why we're all doing this right now. Breckus did it first. Frisco and the county are doing it sort of in line at the same time by the end of the year. I'll stop talking.
Any other questions? Here's your recommended findings. This is part of the comprehensive plan and also the Frisco strategic housing plan. So the housing affordability and diverse and thriving economy. The amendment, let's see, the proposed code text amendments are necessary to become compliant with the state, Prop 123. And then also, once again, it is the desire of the town to continue with Prop 123. So we do want to meet those requirements the state has put before us.
Are we making a recommendation to the council again? Is that what we're hoping to do?
So then they'll have the first reading at a later meeting date.
So even though the new process is expedited, there's no steps that are skipped. You're still site plan, final plan, come to us, all that. Okay.
You still have to meet the zoning code.
Yeah. Okay.
So I guess
Public comment?
done with staff, done with questions for staff. Open it up for public comment again. Anybody that has anything to add? And we'll close public comment. Commissioner discussion. Feel like we've got through that portion too, kind of here.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Feel
think.
so much more educated on AMIs.
Yes,
though. Thank
exactly.
goodness.
I think this is a good idea. I mean, I feel like
More
James
food,
said,
too.
like all the grants that were happening at the state level from like ARPA funding, COVID, ARPA funding, it's all dried up. This is all that's left. And even though they diverted, so it's 350 million a year, and they diverted 130 and they spread it over 3 years anyway, but it's temporary and it could always come back. And there's no reason, like, I think developers are gonna need this funding in order to make housing happen in our community. So not that I want to do what the state says all the time, but in this case, I think, I don't see any reason for us not to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if it's an incentive for a developer to have a little bit more defined timeline, if they provide some affordable housing, even if it's only 150
Right.
instead of 100, in my mind, that's a tool. May as well throw it out there, see if it helps.
I like that it's not mandatory either. Like if your timeline requires the average.
Yeah.
There's nothing offensive about this.
Do we have a motion then?
I'll make a motion. With respect to planning file number UDC 26 0004, I move that the recommended findings set forth in the August 2026 staff report be made and that the planning commission recommends approval with the town attorney comments to town council of code text amendments of chapter 180 of the Code of Ordinances of the town of Frisco, Colorado concerning the Unified Development Code with the addition of section 180-2.8 fast track for affordable housing developments.
Second.
Can you take a vote?
Yes. Conley,
Yes.
Westmus,
Yes.
Stabile,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Payne,
Yes.
Withrow.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right.
Congrats on Dark Sky, everybody.
I know. Good job, Emma.
Katie,
Good job. Emma.
And now Ira has a
That
job.
was all in the
Dark Sky Enforcer.
Yeah.
He's the Dark Sky Enforcer, Ira.
Oh,
remember?
yeah. Yeah. Now's your time.
No, you're good out there, Ira.
Thanks for.
Police, right?
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, good job, James.
Katie, I just had
I didn't notice it was actually down.
a language question, like we just did a motion.
Yep.
And the way it was read is I recommend, it starts with I. When that motion recommendation goes to town council, is it signed by one person or is it signed by the planning committee?
So no one signs it, but it says the planning commission made this motion.
So I think that I should be we.
It's actually Withrow.
Oh.
We insert, it's I on there because she makes it, but the way we actually type it in, and like how you see it in minutes, we have to put the name of who made the motion and who seconded
And
on
then,
behalf of the planning.
and all
commission.
those who approved it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then and so when someone does not, we have vote and then we have no's and we write who voted against it. If
Sorry to get into the
It's a
weeds.
good question. You don't ever see that follow-up we do after the meeting that goes to council, so
Yeah. Okay.
it's a good question.
Any other?
Only update I have is for the next meeting. We are canceling the September 3rd meeting. And however, we will have a meeting on September 17th. Just to be on your radar, 2 applications that will come forward in the next 6 weeks. One of them, the one on September 17th, will be the property that is next to the Sabatini lot. Is that correct? Thank you. So that property has been purchased. Yes, so also known as the Glassman lot, and you're gonna see their development come in. And then just to let you know, we do have the new permanent wireless cell tower at 101 West Main Street that comes to you. We have the applicant, we have it ready to move forward with a review to bring forward to you. However, the applicant has requested an extension to, we actually have required timelines for cell towers that are mandated by the government. We have to bring it forward within a certain amount of days. They asked us to not follow that and they don't want to come forward due to their timelines until October. So if you hear comments on the temporary tower or anything, you can also let people know that their permanent tower will be discussed at Planning Commission in October.
Did they get building permits on Prime Lofts? I saw they put a construction fence on.
I'll have to check. Do you know if it's gotten it?
I think so.
It's been in process for a while.
So that-
Yeah.
I can pull it
Well,
up
I
and check.
did, the fencing is
Just
just right.
Yeah, it's new. I feel like
Yeah.
yesterday or today, yeah.
So I was like,
Didn't even.
I mean, how could you notice? Where is there not? I'm like, the better question is where,
Yeah.
what is not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not September 17th.
It's
Tucolino's
the
done.
shorter list.
Is there any way you can just respond?
No,
Okay.
done. He would know more.
The town looks very busy when you come in from the west. I mean, it's
Yeah.
But
crazy
if you
looking.
go to the marina, it looks like Clifford, the big red crane is
Yeah.
just starting. That's what it
Got its own Instagram account.
Yes, that's what I heard. What's his name on there?
Frisco Crane. Frisco Crane.
Oh, no way.
Big red crane is,
I'm gonna.
and then we could decorate them,
If
we
they're
could get red
updated.
tarps and put ears on them for Halloween.
Since we're losing the elk at the roundabout.
Right.
It does not belong
Moving.
where it's going.
Oh, yeah, it said where it's going.
Peninsula.
Yeah,
Like in
nobody
between
will ever see it
sides.
when it dresses up for Halloween.
Triangle Park is dying for him.
No.
What park?
Triangle Park here.
Oh,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
real Frisco's, I can't be perfect there.
Just put it right there.
I don't think the building permit has officially been issued, but it's under review by other referral agencies right now, it looks like. What's that? Yeah, for Prime Sauce. So I think they had some outstanding things to address for referral agencies.
And how's Foot's Rest going? Like, is it going on time? Do you guys have any insider knowledge?
I don't have anything as of lately, so no. I guess the other thing while we're on projects, just because I don't want you to think we didn't tell you, or people may ask you, knowing your connection to the town. The test boring hole for geothermal is going to be drilled next to town hall in the next couple of weeks. You'll see some fencing go up and then you'll see the equipment come in for a few days. So if anyone has been following geothermal, that's all been approved and through a lot of documents with the town council. But if you're wondering why there's some work and drilling, loud drilling going on for a few days, that's the test borehole for the geothermal.
When's
project.
101 coming down?
In the,
Parking lot?
Is there gonna be like a demo party for
There
the
will-
cheese grater?
There will be
It's like a part of history.
official groundbreaking ceremony. September
22nd.
22nd. Yep.
Yeah, that's at Silver Crown.
Silver
I don't
Crown.
wanna see that. I wanna see.
Well, you gotta stand out there August 31st and see if
Okay.
something
Is
happens.
it imploded? Is that what they'll do, the implode the building?
No, there won't be any dynamite. Explosives,
Getting boring around here.
excavate.
oh, just.
I know.
And then on September 25th, we'll have the ribbon cutting for 602.
Exciting. How is the applications coming? Are you getting it filled up?
So there's another company that's doing all that. It's called Asset Living. It's an NHP owned project and it's their contractor property management company that's doing that. We had two priorities. The first one has already passed. That's written in the covenant. That is for people that work for the town specifically. They could send applications in. Lasted 10 days. And then we had another 5-day extension for, I believe 5-day. Today's the last day for anybody that works within the physical boundaries of the town of Frisco. Then after that, it opens up to Summit County. So what I've heard it's steady. I've heard they've received, I want to say 20, 25, and that was a few days ago or
Good.
last week. So they are getting inquiries. Yeah. Ready for it to be done.
Looks good. Good job, Andy.
You should see the units. The units are,
I want
They're
to see
very
one.
nice inside. Very
yeah, I
nice.
think they're not furnished, no.
Yeah.
But for workforce housing, I think they did a nice job.
Yeah.
Good.
They
Agreed.
picked some nice finishes and.
They had like a talented architect or something.
Yeah.
Architect didn't get to pick colors on the wallpaper.
I had
But
one
they-
question for the art, yeah. Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
Or you are finished, go finish.
No, go ahead.
So there's a bank of electric meters.
Yeah.
Could that be screened?
They are
You know-
looking at, we don't want to talk about a project that's not even CO'd yet, but they have been talking to staff about how to make it more aesthetically pleasing.
Oh, so I'm not alone. Oh,
Oh, we didn't ask. They actually offered. Yeah,
Yeah.
they want to. It's actually their.
It's because we got this great architect on it. Motion
What a
to-
great idea.
Motion to adjourn?
second.
Second.
Oh, everybody. I'm gonna give it to April.
You know,
Thanks
Lena's
for
rushing
dinner.
off to her next planning.
I know,
commission
right?
meeting.
Should I
She's
go over
living
there?
life.
What's happening?
Go kick some butt up there.
That would
is-
be-
they asked me to